Hey, I finally corralled this guy, so we are going to go over the Pure presentation. So many people really loved what we did in Indiana because what we did is we shared the whole Pure picture. And so we decided why not share straight from Hays, Kansas. And so if we haven't met, my name is Taryn and this handsome guy
James.
is James. He's my husband. And we were introduced to Pure back in 2012. I was really excited and this guy,
Highly skeptical.
highly skeptical.
Like, no way. Not gonna happen.
His background is a biologist, and so he looked at this and he goes, Taryn, that's a total sales pitch. It's not going to be able to perform like they're saying. You know, the concept of it's great. However, I just have never seen a company do that.
Yeah.
But I got so excited that you were like, all right, this one is going to take weeks to get out of your system. And lo and behold, it didn't take weeks. It was something that I really attached to. And eventually you said,
Yeah, go for it.
go for it. You said you have 28 days to get our money back.
Well, I mean, I was trying to say it nicely.
But the big thing is I was excited because I wrapped my head around something that really did make sense. And the cool thing is this was something that I had been praying for, but didn't know that it was going to come in this packaging. Not only had we been looking for a solution to health, but also to finances. I had been working 3 jobs. James had been working 2.
Yep.
And we were a family of 4. Our kids were really sick. I had been struggling with my health. And so when we looked at this, we knew it was either too good to be true or an answer to prayer. And we wanted to give it a full shot. And so we were blown away within the first 28 days. First of all, I have to out this guy a little bit. So he was like, hey, go ahead and do it, but get our money back. And I'm not going to take the stuff because I don't really believe in it. Well, one night I hear the refrigerator door opening and I don't see him. And quite frankly, he's a big guy, so I'm like, where did he go? I hear the refrigerator door opening.
Yeah,
normally,
no Tupperware popping, no lids going off.
Exactly. Normally that means he's getting the Tupperware out and he's going to have a late night snack. And I didn't hear that. And so I go into the kitchen and I look and all I see is the refrigerator door open. He's a big guy. He is hiding behind the door and I see when I peek over the door, he's drinking Goyen. First of all,
Straight from the bottle.
Straight from the bottle. And I'm really glad he grabbed this one.
Yep.
And I said, oh, buddy, you're so busted. If you don't believe in this, why are you taking my stuff? But what did you notice?
I might notice a large difference in our son's skin. And so I knew there was something going on, so I figured I'm going to at least try it. I'm going to see what it tastes like.
And you noticed a difference in my moods.
Notice a big difference in your moods. Notice a difference in Reese's moods.
Notice that I was waking up before the alarm, which never happened.
And losing weight and looking good and
Yes.
having more energy. And so I figured, what the heck, I better grab a bottle. And yeah, thankfully I grabbed the right one.
So we'll tell you a little bit more about that, but we noticed the change. And that was the coolest thing because we never looked at this as a business. We looked at it as simply answering and sharing when people were saying, something's changed about you, what is it that you're doing? And we would share the same thing. If it was for them, great. If it wasn't, great. But at the end of the day, it's been something that's changed us financially. So there really is a health and an income side to this as well. Now, we're gonna go over a few things. One of the questions was, what makes Pure so different and how did it get started? Well, I love that this was actually done in a nutritional clinic. So people came in sick, very sick, and they were leaving well. They were leaving feeling better. And the thing that they used with every single person was a philosophy of cleansing the body, balancing the body, and building it up. And they did that by really coming around them and supporting them. And so when you really approach the body as a whole, God designed it perfectly. And so when it gets stagnant, think of what else gets stagnant that causes an issue.
A lot of trash.
Yep. What else? Filter systems.
Filter systems, your cars, your house, everything.
If you went on to a job site, so James does construction, if you went onto a job site and they were talking about, our air just doesn't seem to be that great, and you go look, what are you going to look for?
I probably first check to make sure someone's vacuuming up the dust every day, but if they're not, the first thing you're going to head for is literally the furnace room and check the system. You're going to notice it's plugged completely, and you're wondering how people in this house are breathing.
Well, and another thing, okay, so what if they walked in and they said, man, my house is really smelly. I know this is not a call you'd actually get, but what would you check?
Toilet.
Toilet? What else?
First thing, shower.
Trash?
Yep, trash.
If it's piling up in an area, no, you're not going to want to go in there. And so we really do have systems in place to clean our houses, clean our cars. We're not just piling a bunch of garbage and wondering why it's not nice or pleasant to be in, but we do it to our body. And so that's something that we'll get into a little bit more. But the key thing is what makes us so different is we really understand what is happening in the human system. And so the question then became, are we relevant as a company? Are we toxic?
Yeah, beyond belief.
So tell me why.
It's everywhere that we are. It's the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, the medications you take. It's literally everything we're taking in every single day. Even if you lived on a remote island, you could actually go and you could check the air quality, the water quality, and all this. And like as they're saying, most people aren't going to have clean water in the next 10 to 20 years. We're running out of those sources because we've polluted them so bad.
So we really need to pay attention to what it is that we're doing if we want to get the results that we are looking for in our health. So herbicides, pesticides, like James was talking about, this is something that, there's a lot more plane traffic, there's a lot more car traffic, there's just so many things that we are unaware of that are really bogging us down. And even things like EMF. So EMF, what is that? Electromagnetic fields. And so it's making sure that our devices aren't hindering us. So there's a lot of things that are actually throwing us off in a big way.
But we're getting better because now we know that the blue light's bad for us.
Yes, we do. Whether we do something about it.
It's just the 10 or 20 years before that we had that's really blown
as we
people's
sat
eyes.
like this in front of the
Right,
TV.
yeah, playing on the computers at school. Yeah.
Right? So the question then becomes, are we out of balance? So we are so out of balance. And when we're out of balance, it's like, well, what does that mean? Am I just falling over? No, that's not what it means.
Or that too. I mean, all of us are typically out of balance.
That's a chiropractic adjustment.
Yes, it is. Or a massage therapist, one of the two.
Yes, we have a great one. So our stress can cause that. Sugar can cause this. Technology and our poor sleep. What's actually supposed to happen during sleep?
Well, you're supposed to fall asleep and you're supposed to go through these REM cycles and deep sleep. And then you're supposed to, in an ideal world, you go to sleep at the same time every single day. You wake up at the same time every single day. And so your body's this clock. It's got this circadian rhythm. And we like to throw that off because most people like to burn the candle at both ends. And we think, oh, well, nothing's ever going to happen until one day you're laying in a hospital wondering what happened. And then you look back and you realize what actually happened was you did not give your body that time to heal. I mean, we look at these performance racehorses, we look at pro athletes, everybody, they give those particular individuals, animals, time to rest. They run them hard for a little bit, but then they actually have more rest time than they do activity time. Because
rest is actually important, and that's something that we really are not doing. So are we undernourished?
You really want me to answer that question?
I really do want you to answer that question.
Yeah, we actually really are. So we farm and ranch at the same time too, and we understand. I mean, we're literally supplementing our cattle, we're supplementing our dogs, we're supplementing every animal we own, we fertilize all the soils we have. So if everything had the nutrients that it's supposed to have, we wouldn't have to put all these inputs in. So we understand it from the farming aspect of it. It's not just to generate more income. We actually know that, hey, if we don't put this certain fertilizer on or this certain element in the field, like these are not going to grow anymore. And if they don't grow, they can't produce anything, so you have nothing to sell. So it's not just producing quantity, it's actually getting it to actually produce and reproduce, which is what we see in the human population too.
Well, and it was interesting because somebody was talking about, there's certain things that you have to do to raise great cattle. And James said, what you really need to do is pay attention to raising good land and producing great land. Because if you do that, when the nutrients are in the soil, then they're going to be in the plants, then they're going to be in the animals, which then means they're going to be in us. But if there's a lack at that very base level, what is happening is people are nutrient deficient and they are getting nutrient deficient diseases. And what's so frustrating to me, and I really hope that I can get across, is that most people are developing chronic diseases way too early in life. And all chronic disease means is that you are nutrient deficient in something. So if 7 out of 10 people are dying because of a chronic disease, well, they shouldn't have gotten the disease in the first place if they would have been proactive because it's a nutrient deficiency. So if they would have had the nutrients, they wouldn't have been deficient. Therefore, they would not be dying, 70% of them, over something that could have been avoided, could have been prevented. And the body is talking to them constantly. So when your skin is acting up, your body's saying, hey, I'm overwhelmed and my system is not eliminating the way it needs to, so I need my backup organ of the skin. It was happening right in front of us with our kids and we didn't even realize it.
And I think the stat above that is actually 9 out of 10 of those are actually preventable, which actually all goes back to your lifestyle, your deficiencies. It's the same. You build a house on a bad foundation, it's going to crumble. You build your body on a bad foundation, I'm sorry. It may stand, but you get the first couple storms in there, it starts to quiver just a little bit. But man, then you get that one where you really pushed yourself too far. Then yeah, you wonder why. Why am I in the ER?
When I was up in Indiana, I love Linda Bontrager. She was talking about, she goes, I don't have spare parts. I want to take care of this body that I have. You know, we will spend how much on a vehicle today? 60, 70, $80,000.
A good home mortgage.
Well, used to be back in our day. But we will put so much into it. The average car payment is what? Anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a month. But then people think, oh, well, $40 is just too expensive. $100 is too expensive. You put more fuel into your vehicle in a month than you're willing to put into what you put into that vehicle. So we really need to change our priorities, because the reason why we all say, hey, I need a vehicle is because we want to get from point A to point B. Who's driving that vehicle? It's a very, interesting concept that people aren't thinking of.
Right. It's not the car that makes the mistake. It's the person that makes the mistake.
Exactly. And so we really are undernourished. So not only is it not in the soil, but it's when we're eating fast food, we just have to get something really quick. It's in the genetically modified foods that we're eating. It's in the prepackaged, prepared for us already. We really are killing ourselves little by little at a time, and we just don't realize what's happening. And we really are not meant to feel this bad. The interesting thing is when people have really utilized this line for a good 28 days and taken the products, they said, I had no idea how bad I felt until I knew how good I can feel. You would be surprised at how much getting great nutrients into your system can actually do. And so these were some interesting stats. More than half of American kids do not get enough vitamin D and vitamin E. And more than a quarter of them are not getting enough calcium, magnesium, and vitamin A. So something that was interesting, I was asked, hey, is there something that is a correlation to bedwetting? Did you know vitamin D deficiency can actually increase bedwetting?
No, I didn't. That's something new.
Calcium and magnesium. So when kids are growing, they need that calcium and magnesium to grow their muscles and their bones. Well, we just think that our kids are all of a sudden not sleeping well. All of a sudden they're moody. All of a sudden their bowels seem to be off. All of a sudden they have these behavioral problems. When it all really goes back to, I bet you can almost pinpoint that it's during certain growth seasons that that's happening. And we just think we have these ornery kids that are just unruly, when it just comes down to they have a nutrient deficiency. And so it's really interesting that kids that have been having nightmares, not sleeping well, night terrors, when you give them a liquid calcium like this one, you would be shocked at how much they change. Our son, when we first looked at this, he was on the low end of all the growth things.
Oh, yeah.
And we were just like, I don't even know what's happening. Now he's off the charts in his height. He's off the charts in everything except weight. That guy's a lean guy, but he has a lot of muscle mass. And so you really can see the correlation of nutrient deficiencies and what is happening in their bodies. This I absolutely find fascinating. So when people say, hey, I can get everything I eat from, or everything I need from what I eat, we just kind of laugh. Because here are the actual stats.
Let's run a virgin island that's never been touched by humans. Yeah.
I don't know any of those that don't get flown over with chemicals.
Yeah, well, at least you got the nutrients. You just got to get rid of the other stuff.
And no variety either. So 1960, let's compare 1960 to 2010. So this was even 13 years ago. But in 1960, in order to get the main things that you needed 1 orange, 1 cup of spinach, 1 ear of corn, and 1 cup of wheat. So that's totally reasonable. You could eat that. And you were going to get 632 calories from what it is that I just mentioned. Fast forward to if you were to get the same nutrient, so we are comparing nutrient to nutrient. In 2010, how many oranges is it?
It's a lot. It's, 8?
8.
Yeah.
8 oranges. So 1 and 8. Did you?
And they don't even taste as good.
No, they don't. They're awful.
Yeah,
no
gross.
flavor.
Well, they pick them green too, so you're not really getting everything.
But did you eat 8 oranges today? I don't think you did.
No, I might have stuck them in the juicer, juice them and drank it, but you're missing most of the stuff.
You could, but did you?
No.
Okay, so 1 cup of spinach in 1960. Today in 2010, so 13 years ago, so it's gotten even worse. How many cups?
It's 80 now. Iron's
80.
Iron's shot in the soil.
80. 1 versus 80. That's insane. How many ears of corn?
99.
99. Corn isn't even good for you. Can you
most
even
of that
imagine?
boom was about in the last 30 years, actually.
So it's absolutely insane. And last but not least, 1 cup of wheat is now what?
Hey, but that one's only 2.
That's only 2.
So
that's the only
yeah.
one that's reasonable. But I highly doubt you sat down with 8 oranges. I really doubt that you sat down with 80 cups of spinach, and I really doubt you had 99 ears of corn
Yeah, and
today.
these aren't the like little mini corns.
No.
Because those are good. Those are the big ones. Yeah.
Those are the big ones. And so why does any of this matter? Well, it's affecting you whether you realize it or not. When we were really struggling with our health and didn't know it, we were told we were healthy. Well, I think they were interpreting young to health as the same thing, and that just wasn't
And
the
based on
case.
BMI.
Exactly. James is obese.
Yeah, I'm obese. By BMI.
By BMI. If this is obese, the rest of us are in serious trouble. But my mood was off. How bad were the moods? You can be honest.
You came out swinging.
Really did. If I woke up in the morning, everybody scattered as if, it was a cockroach and you turned on the light. It's like, do not make eye contact. How was sleep?
You didn't really sleep.
No, tossing and turning. Now, I was exhausted all day, and then when I finally could go to sleep, then I was up all night. So it was just this brutal, brutal phase of just needing the energy when I wanted energy and wanting to sleep when I wanted to sleep. So sleep was terrible. There was a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that
Inflammation, everything.
so much inflammation, very puffy, had excess weight. I thought I had 25 pounds to lose. Apparently I had over 50. Hey, but we got
I was
it off.
not going to say anything.
He loved me no matter what weight I was at. Poor energy, and then also relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Was our marriage anywhere close to what it is now?
No.
It was non-existent. He had to be mom, he had to be dad. I was able to just function enough to get my paycheck 8 to 5 Monday through Friday and just be able to stay awake for those few hours, buy my time until 8 o'clock at night because I just had it. It was awful. It was very depressing. It just was not quality of life at all. It was affecting our kids. And also, our son had struggled with life-threatening food allergies since he was a little guy. He had staph infections that would break out. We were constantly in the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
He was sick with something at all times, it seemed like. His first birthday and his first Christmas were in the ER. And our family thought we were actually blowing them off because it just seemed like anytime he was around anyone else, he would just get sick. It was the stress. It was what he was eating. It was what he was around. And we honestly thought our little guy was just a jerk, and he wasn't.
No.
We found
No,
out
he was just in pain. He was just nutrient deficient.
this little guy was just in pain and lashing out. And when he started to feel better, when James was bathing him and his skin started to clear up and he started to smile and be happy, we're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea our son was just in pain. And so naturally, when I had started this, I was mad because we had been asking doctor after doctor. We had been really looking for a solution, and not at any time did they say, take care of the body, cleanse, balance, and build. No one had a comprehensive approach. We had gotten to the point where as a family, we were on 12 medications every month.
Mm-hmm.
That's refilling a base of 144 every single year. You were on how many of them? Zero. That was between me and 2 kids that were ages 3 and 7. So I don't see how healthy really lined up with our charts at all. And so that's where, when Pure came into our lives, that cleanse, balance, build just made sense. And so what I want to go over is what we have in our line and how you can use build. And so basically
Big bottle or little bottle?
yeah, so we have capsule form or liquid form. I won't make you hold all those.
Yeah, I got big hands, but I don't know if most of these hands are going to hold all 4.
You're totally fine. So when it comes to detoxing the system, there's actually 3 stages. And so we need to identify what doesn't belong, package it up in a way that the body can get rid of it, and then eliminate it. So our daily detox actually identifies what doesn't belong, packages it up in a way that it's ready to basically throw out the trash. And then the cleanse helps to eliminate what doesn't belong from the liver, the colon, the lungs, lymphatic system, kidneys, bloodstream, and skin. The nice thing is that it can do this while you sleep. You really should have 3 healthy bowel movements every single day, sometimes 2. So when you eat lunch and supper, those should come out first thing in the morning. So sometimes they come out together and sometimes they come out separately. But that's why you would have 1 or 2 in the morning. Then the next, or that evening, is when breakfast is going to leave. And so the interesting thing is a lot of people say, Taryn, I don't want to be pooping at work all day. Well, you really shouldn't be, because it should happen first thing before you leave and then later on when you're home. But these 2, the daily detox and the cleanse, are helping to do phase 1, 2, and 3 of that whole process. So that is our cleanse platform. Then we have our balance. So we have a couple things that balance, but the Go-Yin is a a formula that has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for,
Yeah, over 2,000 years.
yeah, this one works. What it does is it heats up and it cools down the body to keep everything in balance. So
And it tastes amazing too.
it really does. So this is our healthy
Great,
one.
like chilled on a hot day too.
It's so good. This is one that if you're the type of person that wants to just snuggle up with a glass of wine in the evening, just make it this one. It's really healthy for
Yeah,
you.
you'll be smiling like crazy in an
Yeah.
hour, you know?
And if you ever need to have one of those conversations with your spouse, both take 2 ounces and then meet in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What's its nickname?
Marriage counselor in a bottle.
Much cheaper than counseling. You could go through
By
what?
far.
Like a full 2 cases
You
for
go
less
through,
than one session.
full 12 pack for one session.
So I would say that's a much better route to go. So anyway, that is the Go Yin. Then we have, I want to go over one more balancer real quick. So the Calcium K+. This is a liquid formula. We do have it in capsule form, but this actually has the calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and vitamin K that your body needs to absorb and utilize it. So let me tell you something. When your body is getting out of whack and out of balance, if it's too acidic, which most people are, what happens is it leaches pinpricks of calcium from somewhere that's weaker in the system. It does that to balance out your blood so that you don't die. So it's very necessary.
It's literally like your kids going through the cupboards and taking snacks out and taking them strategically to where then all of a sudden you don't notice it over a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden you're like, who ate all the whatevers?
You ate everything.
And it's literally the kids.
Then it's the empty box. It's the empty box. All of us
It is.
eat the empty box.
It is that is helping to make sure that empty box stays full.
Yes. And so the calcium actually has what your body needs to absorb and utilize it. So this, we've seen a tremendous improvement in bone density, but this is also going to help with growing kids, making sure that you're not going to have those muscle cramps. If somebody has like an eye twitch or something, they're usually deficient in what
Or leg
this
twitch,
has.
the rock, or what is it? Not the rocking leg,
Restless
but-
leg syndrome.
Yeah, restless leg, where you sit there and you just tap your foot like this all the time. Yeah.
This is also a key component for that awful phase called perimenopause or menopause. It can really help to make sure that those hot flashes are not miserable. I know that's not a factor for you.
Yeah, I don't probably need to know so much about that one.
Well, you do.
I do,
Mom's
but
saying
I
for
don't,
me.
you know.
Okay, so that would be another key balancer. Then we have our multivitamin. And so it is in capsule or in liquid form, but this is such a key component because basically all you have to do is take it. Your body then has the whole buffet.
Yep.
It can choose what it needs on a daily basis. And what James needs on a Sunday versus what he needs on a Monday, what he needs on a Thursday are going to be completely different. So we just set the dinner table with this, with healthy shot glasses, and then we all just take that in the middle of our meal. And so we know we have provided our body with everything it could need. Whatever it doesn't need, it's just going to do what?
Yeah, it's just going to pee it out. And this beautiful thing about that formulation is, as Taryn had mentioned, it gives you everything you need and it gives you above. Because it's not just what you need for that day. It's actually going for more of the higher end and saying, okay, maybe you were super active today. Well, you're going to need more of this mineral, this vitamin. Okay, well, you weren't so active tomorrow. Okay, well, you don't need as much, so you'll pee that out, but now you actually need more of this over here. So your body does not, we seem to think it functions the same every single day, which it does in one aspect, but what it actually needs every single day is completely different. It's based on your sleep, it's what time you woke up, it's what you're eating,
Activity
what you're not
levels,
eating,
stress.
your stress, your
I like how he
stress
looks at
levels.
James is going through a lot with me having him do a presentation again. You're going to need more daily build.
Kids and dogs and work and you know, everybody's got the stress. It's just a matter of how well you can handle it psychologically. But it doesn't mean that stress is not taking a toll on your body. So even though you think you can handle stress well, actually internally, if we would look, are you actually able to mitigate the stress? And there's a lot of cool things, and I know you'll talk about some of them later.
Yeah, we have a couple of favorites of that. So this makes sure that you have what you need. Wouldn't that be nice to know as a mom that you just gave your kids exactly what they needed every day? There's not questioning, did you eat everything? Did you get your veggies? Did you get this or that? You just know, done. Check mark, we can move on. Having the key nutrients is such a huge asset because I think so many parents are dealing with behavioral issues that really don't have to be that way at all, that it's really down to a nutrient deficiency. And so this is a key way that you can get them to get exactly what they need. So that's our build. Then we also have our energy, which a lot of people are reaching towards things that for energy that they shouldn't be.
Yep.
You want to talk about that?
Like specific brands?
Well, it's completely up to you. You seem to be a little passionate about it here.
Oh, well. I mean, you got all the good ones, the ones that are mass marketed.
What are they doing?
Basically, they are robbing your adrenals, is what they're doing. So they're basically, it's almost the same as a medication. It goes in there, it doesn't actually help something, it stops something. Or it tells the body to speed something up, so it actually stimulates, is what it does. It's not actually feeding it. So if I was...
It's basically robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, because what it's doing is giving you that temporary high, that temporary fix, but at a long-term cost. Not to mention, if you needed it in the first place, you're already in a long-term
And
position.
then you crash actually a lot harder, because the body wants to stay in this thing called homeostasis.
Yes.
Right here. And so if we take this energy drink, a nice mass-marketed one, we spike real fast. But then what happens literally after an hour or two, you crash back down, but your low actually goes just as low as your high. So what do people keep doing? They keep taking these energy drinks, and then they wonder why they can't sleep at night, because you're so tired you can't sleep. Or they wonder why they're dragging in the morning when they get out of bed, or they're dragging at night, or they're dragging at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's because the body at one point in time is going to say, okay, I'm going to force you to literally
shut
rest.
down.
And so that's when people start fainting and passing out and literally just shutting down and having these mental breakdowns.
And so the key thing with our energy is we are not stimulating. We are not forcing it to do anything. What we're doing is giving it a key amount of nutrients in a specific blend so your body comes alive. And we recognize that caffeine can have a little bit of a negative toll on your body. So we have blends that actually counteract that. So we have an alkalinizing blend. So when caffeine can be in your system and giving you that little bit of energy, it can take your body into an acidic state. So we have an alkalinizing blend, so we're staying in balance. Then we also have an adrenal blend. And so not only are we giving you that good mental clarity, that good mental focus now, but we're also giving your reserve energy tank even more fuel. So you have fuel today and for the future. And so we are not robbing, we're actually giving to your system.
And the beautiful thing about this one is it actually balances your energy levels. And so it's never going to bring you below what you were. So it's going to give you just a little peak, and it's going to bring you slowly right back down. But for a very small percentage of the population, it'll actually level those energy levels out. And so people that you typically think are high strung, super high energy, they take one of these. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're like calm. It's not that they have a ton of energy. They're literally, it gives you the mental focus. Like you can finally do what you want to do.
One of my favorite stories was actually a state trooper that his wife was so excited. They got their products in and she was like, hey, so how did it go today? And he goes, I hate to tell you, I don't think it works. She's a little upset and she's like, fine, we're not even going to talk about it because he didn't notice at all. And she was kind of bummed. And so she's like, fine, what did you get done today? He starts listing off, well, I got this done with the laundry, I was able to do these dishes, and you know what, I was able to do this, this, and this, and then I also got to the garage and I was able to put this away. She goes, wait a minute, thought you said that energy didn't work. Well, he was used to Red Bulls. He was used to something stimulating.
Yep.
And so this just gave him that cool, calm, focused, intense, able to get things done kind of energy. So it's a productivity energy instead of a stimulating. This has been key for our kids with their tests. So they know, you know, when it comes to state tests and state assessments, you know, they have out like all the donuts and all these sugars, and my kids are like, I'm not touching that.
Talk about a high and a crash real fast.
And so instead they use this, and so they've been little lethal weapons in their grades and in tests because they know how to help their body study, they know how to retain information more, and they're able to really help their systems out. Okay, so sulfur, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this one is actually really, really good because this is supposed to be, what is it, the fourth or fifth? Third most abundant mineral in the body. But back in the 1940s, when farmers switched from manure fertilizers, organic fertilizers, literally manure, cow, horse, pig, whatever, because as you harvest crops, you're taking minerals, nutrients off of the soil, but you're not putting them back.
Yeah, when you do the spray, you're not putting it back in, where at least the cows were eating that, so it was putting it back in. It was this recycling.
You stop this nutrient cycling. And so it became really, really easy, though, after World War II, to actually use synthetic chemicals. Because no longer did you have to worry about hauling manure, having animals, putting it on the fields. You could literally just go and spray your fertilizer on the field, or you could put it in with your tillage equipment when you were doing passages in the field. So it started saving the farmers a lot of money. So we went from sulfur, which was naturally occurring in the manure, getting into the soil, going up to the plants, to we've cut off this entire cycle.
And what
Now,
happened?
And now we wonder why people have bad joints, because this is one of the
Allergies?
things to joints, allergies. It helps to detox
Inflammation?
the brain slowly. It helps to detox the entire system. It keeps the
Skin?
skin nice and elastic.
Anti-aging?
Yep. And one of the big ones here is, if you go look this up, but the myelin sheath
Nervous system.
in the nervous system, especially up here, is comprised very heavily of this.
All of your connective tissue actually has a base of sulfur. And so one of the key things, when your body's out of balance, it's going to regenerate weakened sick cells. Well, if you get your system back in balance and give it the nutrients it needs, when it regenerates, it's going to regenerate healthy cells. How long does it take to regenerate every single cell in the human body?
The entire body, different systems turn over at different times. But the base biologically is 7 years. The longest thing is your brain. It takes 7 years to regenerate the brain.
So 7 years, if you really focused on health, if you really focused on giving your body what you needed, in 7 years, you would not be the same person. I'm living proof of that, so are you.
Oh, yeah.
And so our kids, totally different as well. And this is one of the key things that's going to help at a systemic level to do that. Inflammation is such a key factor in today's world. Our systems are just ticked off on a regular basis. This is something that will take your system on a systemic level and calm it down. We'll keep that inflammation at bay. It's basically like a therapist for your system saying, hey, we don't need to act
We're
like
gonna
that.
cool you down.
We're gonna calm
We're gonna help
down.
detox all
You
those
don't need
chemicals
to
you
do
just
this."
ingested yesterday slowly.
Exactly.
You know, it's basically, you don't even feel it working in the background, except
Exactly.
for when you forget to take it for a week.
you
And then all of a
notice it.
sudden all your joints start to hurt.
Screaming.
You got headaches, you got everything else. You're like, man, what did I do last week? And then you look and you see that and you're like, dang, that thing's still half full.
What about that grandma in Oklahoma? I know this was one of your favorite moments.
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy because she started on this, and I think it was within a matter of weeks. She had real sensitive skin, like no one could touch her. Like no, she couldn't even really touch herself. Like it was that painful. Like,
Fibromyalgia.
yeah, she could not hug her grandkids or anything, and it was really cool because after a couple of weeks of that, her kids were literally like grandkids were like jumping on her and touching her. And it was the coolest thing because she said it had been years since she was actually able to hug her grandkids.
So tell me that your system doesn't actually affect your life, because when you're a grandparent, if you can't hug your grandkids, if you can't hold their hands, I didn't know what people were doing, but they were like going like this to me. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like this some weird sign language. They go, Taryn, I haven't been able to do this with my hands forever.
Yeah, move your fingers, the mobility issues. Yeah.
I mean, can you even imagine not being able to type as thoroughly, not being able to shampoo your hair? I was talking to somebody the other day. They said, I have gotten to such a place of fatigue that I have to help my one arm to be able to shampoo. These things are affecting your life in ways that they don't need to. And so give your body what it needs and it will do its job. And so what I just went over, aside from the daily detox, this is our Core Plus package. And so that comes in at, you can pay retail, but I don't see the point.
Yeah, I don't see why you would if you can get a discount.
It doesn't make sense to me. And that you can actually get the discounted pricing right away, but that's $289.95. And some of the items last way longer. Like these two, I don't know how this thing, but I swear it multiplies and it just keeps growing and growing. And then the sulfur, this is going to be more than a 1 month supply. So some of these things are going to last longer, and so you really can extend that. But again, think of how much you pay in fuel, how much you're paying in your car insurance, how much you're paying for things to make sure your vehicle is running, and the maintenance on your vehicle. Are you willing to invest that much into the one body that you get? That's something that when we started doing that, we were blown away at the dividends it yielded into other areas of our life. Your best investment, hands down, is
Yourself and your body. And I always measure it, and even at work I measure it on, okay, should I buy this tool? Should we take this safety protocol? Should we do anything? I always base it based on how much is the bill at the ER going to be compared to what I need to spend over here, and every single time it is less.
Stay off the ladder.
Because what you don't see is that not only is it costing you an ER visit and probably going to cost you $1,500 to $2,000 plus, it's also costing you time. And so when you build these things,
And wear and tear on your family. If you're
a
run
big
down,
one, a big one.
and you're not nice
That's
when
the
you're
one
run
people
down.
don't see, is actually your health does affect more than you. It actually affects your family more than everybody else. And we've actually shown our kids this many a times when they go down. It's like, okay, well, you were responsible for all of this, but now everybody else in the family has to do not only their stuff, they have to do your stuff. So then you want everybody to take care of you, but they can't because we have to take care of all this other stuff at the same time too. And then it's just like it's like a pissing match because everybody gets mad at each other. And literally what it all came down to was someone decided not to wear a coat when it was cold outside because it wouldn't look cool in
not
middle
to
school.
go to sleep until 4 a.m.
Yep.
Somebody decided that they were just going to skip their vitamins that day and run themselves into the ground.
Yep.
So, hey, we're all guilty of it, but
So
this
invest
can be
the 5
prevented.
minutes instead of the days and the thousands of dollars after the ER.
Okay, so the nice thing is when somebody has done the Core Plus, they notice one of these, or actually more, but these things. They notice better sleep, less pain, better mood, more energy, better bowel movements, and they also notice that a weight loss is actually
and
a
just in
benefit.
case you didn't catch that, that means you're actually pooping better.
Yes.
Not necessarily pooping more all the time, but pooping better. So like bigger, fuller ones, and like you feel good. So when you go,
Not rabbit turds.
it's not like struggling to get it out. It's like, you know,
It's
you
like,
leave
ooh,
and
that
you're
was
like,
nice.
dang, I feel so much lighter.
It's all gone.
Like 2 more pounds lighter.
Because you should be able to get it out. Okay, so
Yeah, like I don't understand why I need to take a magazine or a newspaper. It's like this thing should be over in like 30 seconds.
right, this is quick and it should be easy to wipe too.
Yeah, just make sure to wash your hands.
So now we're going to go over what the Core Complete would have. So that adds the additional super fruits. Acai is the beauty berry, great for hair, skin, and nails. Mangosteen is anti-inflammatory, antihistamine, antiviral, and that one is going to really be the fast thing to help with inflammation. So this really replaced a lot of the antihistamines and things that we had been dealing with. And go look up if you want to. We don't recommend just Googling, but Google Scholar is something you can look up. Therapeutic benefits of acai.
Yeah, if you go just to your main like search engines online, you're gonna get everybody's opinions.
Yep.
Is what you're gonna get, and it's always funny because one of the best ones is always, well, there's not enough scientific research to look at this, and then you go type into Google Scholar and you'll type in acai or type in the scientific name of acai, and then you're gonna see there's 10,000 studies on this. Like, how is there not enough scientific information to say what this berry does?
Really great for men's prostate health, really good for the blood, leukemia. You would
Beauty berry.
Yep, you'd be surprised at the correlation there.
A lot of good fats for the brain.
Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. So our kids actually had to do
And
vision
burns.
therapy. Burns, yes. Vision therapy. So vision therapy is less about the eyes and more about retraining their brain and eyes to communicate. And so we could have signed ourselves up for a lot of treatments and they were very expensive. So I just got really smart, said, okay, we're going to hedge our bets here. We are going to come alongside and really work with our brains at the same time. And it was interesting. Reese followed directions. Channing kind of did.
He was
But-
young.
He was young. But Reese actually went through with flying colors, did not experience
Graduated
the
early.
headaches, exactly, and did not have the trouble that they thought she would, especially with just some things that are not fun. And so we've seen this help us out in a lot of areas. We didn't talk about Mila, but we'll get there. Goji is the happy berry, great for libido, blood pressure, triglycerides, cholesterol.
The eyes as well.
Eyes, very good for the eyes. Also phenomenal for the heart. In the last couple of years, the heart has been something that we really want to amp up taking care of. So, and internal organs, so our kidneys, our bladder, just anything internal, this is absolutely fantastic. You want to talk about noni?
Well, that's the one I'm glad I didn't grab.
Yes, it tastes
Out of the
terrible.
fridge.
We
But
are not
man,
about taste.
No, but well, these are all 100% wild harvested, and so that's something you need to know too. Is wild harvested is a step above organic. Like this is literally picked from the wild, so we're not adding fertilizers and everything else to this. This is literally as Mother Nature intended it. So when I said,
And picked at the right time.
yeah, if you lived on a remote island, a virgin island, this is literally where this stuff's coming from. But the noni, it's so pure and it's so great for the digestive system. It's incredible.
From start to finish. And this has been something that we've even helped little babies with colic. And so just getting that into their
And
system.
it's also the catalyst or the enhancer. So if you take this one with any of these others, you actually multiply the effect of what these other ones are doing.
So the Mila, let's get back to the chia seed. So again, this is really just plant-based nutrition. So it's just food. And so the Mila is actually a chia seed, and what we have is a proprietary blend. So we actually source it from 7 different regions around the world.
And it's grown in the right, literally, if you know anything about chia, you can check this stuff out. but it has to be grown in certain latitudes.
Why?
And this is grown in those latitudes because otherwise it won't actually take the nutrients up that it needs to
So
take
not
up.
Kansas?
I think you can get away with it maybe in like southern Kansas, but the climate is not right to grow that.
So what
It has to have water. We don't have that.
No, we don't, especially not these years. So what we do is we actually blend those from 7 different regions, and what we do is we slice them. And so we have a patented machine that slices them. Why? Because this can be like corn to where your body can't actually penetrate it. And so the shell actually has the omega-3s in it. So we want the really good oils, and we also want access to that seed. So that's how we get the best of both worlds. But look up the correlation with omega-3s and brain health. We have had kids that were really struggling in school, whether they were diagnosed with whatever label they wanted to put on them, ADD, ADHD, autism, whatever it was. It just came down to the brain was crying out for help. And this omega-3 was absolutely powerful in really helping to come alongside their system. Look at the correlation with omega-3s in a lot of diseases that get diagnosed.
Well, and that not only has just the 3s, it has the other ones too, and it's all perfectly balanced. So I know a lot of people want to take this, they buy their chia from the store, it's probably grown in the wrong latitude. So first off,
It's really cheap.
You're not getting exactly, that's actually how most people buy, is by the cheap. But I think the older you get, the more you understand, you always get what you pay
You're
for.
going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And I'd rather have my health and not have to pay that high price later. I want to hang out with my grandkids. I want to hang out with my great-grandkids. I want to enjoy life. I don't want to be a vegetable sitting in a chair that doesn't know my own name and drooling. That does not sound like a good quality life to me.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to go full bore, and then basically I'm going to live to my 137, and then one day it's just going to be like,
I think I'm
okay,
good.
good.
Okay, so we went over our superfruits. Now, a lot of people really want to say, okay, I know that weight loss can be a side effect. Can we speed that up or enhance that a little bit? And we absolutely can. So this is actually why I am in this company, is this formula right here. The On Track formula is a game changer. What it does is it actually has a triple effect on your waistline. So when you consume this, you need to take it at least 2 times a day. I suggest 3, but you take 2 capsules 15 to 30 minutes before a meal with 10 ounces of water. Why? We've got to get it to the small intestine, because what it's going to do is when it gets to the small intestine, it's going to tell those little villi that whatever comes through next, whatever food, which means you have to eat, you can't starve and have this work, whatever food comes through triggers it to say, oh, I didn't get enough fuel. I didn't get enough energy. I don't have anything that I can use for fuel right now. So it says, I've got to go to my reserves. What are your reserves?
Fat. And believe me, the American population has plenty of it.
We got plenty of it. And so when it is burning fat, what is it not going to do? Store more.
Well, it can't, yeah.
So when you're...
I thought you were like trick questioning me here.
No.
It can't do anything. What are we going for here?
No, so when it's burning your fat, it can actually store more. So it's not using what you just gave it. It's then using your reserves, and then it's not storing more. So it's got that triple effect that is so fantastic. And here's the other thing. When your body has this, it tells your body, nope, I'm good. Why?
Because it's got enough.
Gram for gram.
Yeah.
Your fat is the most potent source of fuel that it can actually get. And so it says, I'm happy, I'm satisfied. So that actually has you feeling full faster, staying full longer. Because it's such a potent source of fuel, then you have energy. Is it stimulating?
Nope.
No. It's just burning a really great fuel source.
It's like trying to burn toilet paper versus trying to burn a tree.
Hedge log.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally different. It's like,
Sugar,
no, we are
sugar's
good
the
for
toilet
hours.
paper. It burns real fast. Yeah, we got a plethora of this, except for during COVID.
Exactly.
You know, but everybody else has toilet paper everywhere in the house. So yeah, we can burn it. And we get a little fire out of it, and it goes, and then it's down, or we start the tree on fire, and
That's
lasts a
actually
long
going to
time.
burn for a long time. And so that's exactly what's happening. So this, what I would do is take it 3 times a day, because that's keeping your system in that burn mode. And so this has been my tool for over a decade now. And I lost 54 pounds in the first 6 months.
and kept it off.
Kept it off. I did not work out. It's not that I'm proud of that, but I'm saying so many times I thought I had to starve and exercise for 3 hours a day and be absolutely perfect. That's not the case. But I did notice that this started to change me. I wanted to be more active. I had energy. I was like, I want to do something with this. I don't want to just sit on the couch and, flip through the TV. And so I had more energy. I wanted to eat healthier. All of a sudden I was going through drive-through, getting the full super size, and it didn't taste good. So I'd take a sip of my soda. Usually I'd slurp every last drop. I would go for the bonus fries, and I would eat everything and I would still be wanting more. Why? Because I wasn't getting any nutrients. But when I had this in my system, I'd take a couple bites and it just didn't taste the same. And so I wasn't eating it as much, which then I started to look up quinoa. And at first I was
Quinoa.
like, what's quinoa? What does it look like? How do you cook it? What is kale?
Where did this come from? I haven't seen this in the store.
Right. And so
It's in corn.
no, of course, the only vegetable we had in our house, corn,
Uh-huh.
green bean, or peas.
Green beans were rare.
Canned.
Yep.
And so this really helped to change me. The other thing, we talked about stress a little bit. Serene is something that can help your body manage stress. When it's managing stress, it doesn't matter that you are stressed, it matters what is happening in your body. So this helps to mitigate the stress from accumulating on your hips, thighs, and waist, and also wreaking havoc. So this actually can be utilized with a pre-workout because it's going to keep your body oxygen flowing, it's breaking the blood-brain barrier, and so it's getting deeper into the tissue. And what's happening is this is going to keep your body from stressing up. So it's putting off that lactic acid. It's not going to have you cramping up, and so you're able to go harder, stronger, longer.
And if you're a guy, this one, the on
On
track,
track.
visceral fat, this right here, where guys get it. And how do you get it? Stress. So this one right here. So have your body, it needs to adapt to that stress. So if we can adapt to it, the stress impacts won't be there, but this one will actually help to start reversing those impacts by actually going after the visceral fat.
Get rid of the dad bod. Nobody wants to see
Yeah, that's
this.
not hot. I don't care what these trends say. You know, some of them are eating what, like Tide Pods and stuff like that.
I don't
I'm
even
going
know.
to stay with my consistency.
Right. So Metabolic Max actually helps to boost your metabolism. So does Met10. The difference between them, this one really preserves and supports lean muscle mass. This one is going after cravings and really attacking that midsection fat about that 6-week mark. And so those are some tools that you can use as well. People do not pay enough attention to gut health. And so probiotic is something that can really help to make sure that your intestines are cleaning out in a healthy environment. So good bacteria should be 80%, bad bacteria should be about 20. In most Americans, it's completely flipped. And what you don't realize is anytime you go on an antibiotic or if you drink heavily, you're wiping out your gut flora. We really pay attention to breastfeeding and making sure babies get colostrum. Why? Because we're setting up their intestinal gut
And
health.
the same with animals too.
Exactly.
Like that first milk, colostrum, that's key. Like you don't get it, that animal's gone.
So you've heard of colostrum, right? Well, the whole point is to set up their gut health to make sure that their immune systems are strong. So why do we not pay attention that when we wipe it out in later times in life that we're not replenishing it? This is making sure we're replenishing it. And this one is a collagen. So not only is it great for your hair, skin, and nails, anti-aging, great for the joints, great for your overall body, but this one also has a probiotic component to it. And it has a special patented one that goes in and cleans off those villi. So all of that fecal matter, yes, poop, that is built up on those, it's cleaning those off. And it's also cleaning out that tissue. So this is really making sure that your gut health is as healthy as it possibly could be from the inside out. So huge benefits. We also have our sports line that you can use for pre, during, and post-workout. Look, you can go work out for 35 minutes to an hour or even longer, but do you want to get, for the same amount of effort, do you want minimal results or do you want maximum results? I want to maximize my time that I'm putting in, and this is how it can do it.
Well, and the beautiful thing is this is actually a system. So systems work. Individuals can perform, but they don't work. It's the same as a team concept or like a toolbox. Okay, I can have a hammer, and yeah, that hammer can do quite a bit. But what if I have a toolbox and the hammer's part of that toolbox? Now I can accomplish a whole lot
The
more.
hammer and the nail,
Yeah.
the level,
I mean, hammer's great for everything.
right?
But you can only beat something so much before you break it.
Exactly. And so that whole line can really help to support to make sure that you're fueled up and ready, that you're not going to stress out, and that you're circulating deep into the tissue. Do you want to talk about circulate at all? Has nitric oxide in it.
Yeah, nitric oxide. So basically what this is doing is, the best example I can give you is everybody deals with cold weather at some point in time. And we all like
If you're
to
in
like
Wyoming
water.
and Idaho
We
forever.
all like to water our grass, or like I do, or you garden, but you use a gardening hose. And you know the warmer it gets, the more flexible that garden hose becomes. And so the more flexible it is, the faster the water can actually flow through it. Now in the wintertime it gets cold. And so everything gets hardened up and everything gets stiff. So most of the time you battle turning the water on, you're like, crap, I bet it's clogged somehow, or it's pinched, or it's kinked, or something, and the water just doesn't flow out of it. And so what happens is you age, the tissue in your blood vessels, they actually start to harden.
And if you drink aspartame, they're hardening even faster. Just drink the regular soda if you're going to drink it. Do not do diet crap because it's making that go faster.
Is that a brand, Diet Crap?
Yeah.
And so this actually, what this does is it releases nitric oxide, and so it actually loosens all that up. So now your blood can flow. So basically we always say where blood flows, nutrients go. Nutrients and oxygen go. And so if you have injuries or anything like that, those areas get closed off. They get inflamed, they get swelled, and it's really hard to get something in there. And so if you can open those channels back up and take something like this, you can actually get the nutrients, the oxygen, and everything in there because that blood is starting to actually flow to those areas. So people that take this, they work out longer, stronger, harder.
And that is something that's incredible for heart health. So good for people that have heart issues. For male health as well, it's very important. And so there's that little blue pill, natural, or not natural, but Viagra.
Found accidentally when we were going for something else.
Right? But Circulate and sulfur is actually a natural form of Viagra. And there's certain things that can help with date night strategies. You can read between the lines, but basically, if you have better blood flow to certain areas and times,
Maybe start off with this if you're not getting along.
Right?
You know,
start out with
night.
that. Increase the libido.
Instead of the wine,
And then
start
go
with the
for
Goyen,
this.
have a bottle of Goyen, and then move to the wine.
So we won't go over everything, but as you can clearly see, there's some other things that help with specifically for the brain, overall health. That has glutathione in it, which is really good for anti-aging, and is something that has really been compromised in the last couple of years because of what happened in 2020. We have a skincare line. Why would you put toxic things on your skin if you're cleaning it out? And so we have a phenomenal line from Korea. Koreans are 30 years ahead of the US in skincare. This one really creates that glass skin look. So it's closing those pores and making sure that your skin is as smooth as could possibly be. We have shakes, we have our greens, but there's a little bit of everything. So when it comes down to it, we also have plans. You can do overall health, which is the Core Plus, the Core Complete. You can add the specific things that would be helpful for you. And the other thing, we have targeted needs. So we actually have these plans that if you're sitting there going, man, I wish I could just do overall health, but quite frankly, my heart is a mess, or my lungs are a mess, or my brain really needs some help, or I need help with healthy energy, or I want muscle gains, or I really am struggling with my female just overall hormones, or men's health. We have 15 targeted needs that help to address specific needs and goals. And we have all the documentation to prove that what we are saying works, does, because we've looked at the studies on the therapeutic amounts of mangosteen and what it can actually help come alongside and do. So if there's a need that you have, we have these pre-built kits, and you get a plan for yourself on what it is that you do, so you know exactly what to do. And if at any time you're like, okay, I may have started with a couple of products, I'm seeing I really need to reset, get the strong foundation, take care of my system, let me know, because we could always tweak a few things and get a specific regimen for you and custom build. So that's always something that we can do. So in order to get started, you want to choose your products and enroll. It just makes sense. You get 25% off the retail price. And if you keep anything on auto ship, you actually get 20% back in rewards points. The auto ship is really simple to change right up before the night it ships out, and you can adjust how much you do or don't get, but you get that 20% back in rewards, which is really nice. Then your order will arrive in about 3 to 4 days. It's so important to track because you need to know where you're starting in order to see the progress of where you're going. So many times people kill their sprouts. They're like, Taryn, I don't know if it's working. But what they didn't realize is that they're getting up before their alarm, that they're jumping out of bed, that it took them 0.2 seconds instead of 2 minutes to get out of the chair.
It's the same concept of you look up 10 years later and you're like, how did I gain all this weight?
Yeah.
Like you don't see the small changes over time. But that's the cool thing is when you don't see somebody for 3 months or 6 months and then they see you and they're like, what happened?
Right.
You're like, what did I do? The first thing you always think of is, oh my God, what happened? Like it's always bad, right?
Right.
You don't think of like, oh yeah, they noticed. So it's very important to track. It's the same as going to the gym. If you don't track your weights, you don't know how much stronger you're actually getting.
Well, a lot of times the people around you are actually going to notice things before you do. James, the reason why he was going after this in the fridge is he was starting to see that I was a nicer person. I wasn't snapping at people.
Right, I thought
Things were
maybe,
different.
if you're nice, maybe I should be nice.
You're right.
Yeah,
That'd be
we'll
great.
both be nice.
I guess a good point. And so be sure to track your results and actually take the products. These cannot work if you just stare at them. They're very pretty, but staring at them is not going to get you anywhere. You actually need to take them. I actually had somebody that was carrying this around in their purse for an entire year and hadn't even opened the bottle.
Wonder why it didn't work.
Right? So
It doesn't put off fumes, and you just
it's not by
take it
osmosis.
in. Yeah.
And
The
then
purse might have lost some weight, who knows?
probably. Well, when they took it out of their purse and started using it, it got
Yeah,
better.
it did. It
And
worked.
tracking your results, paying attention to, do you feel full faster? Do you stay full longer? Do you have more alertness? Are you getting further into the day before you have, that crash? Are you not snapping at people? Really being aware of what it is that is changing. And so this is something that has been very simple for our family. And it's really natural because when people see the change, they want to know what you're doing and how they can benefit as well. And so we simply shared this as well, and it has paid us way more than we ever could have imagined. So when I started this, I was working 3 jobs to bring in hopefully $800 every 2 weeks. And in our very first week, I was able to earn more than I did in my regular job. That was shocking. And so this is something that we focused on in the last 11 years, but it's opened up opportunities for us that we never could have imagined. I was shocked when it first paid for groceries. I was shocked when it paid for the car payments. I was shocked when it paid for our home and the mortgage. I was shocked when we were able to do investments. And it's also something where the company really rewards those that share it. It's taken us to 5 out of the 7 continents. We've been to 6, but we were able to actually pay for an African safari for our family on our own. And so it's just something that this may or may not be for you, but you should really look at everything that it has to offer. Because when you're looking at the stats of 7 out of 10 people are dying because of chronic disease, do you think there's a need for this? When you go out tomorrow and you just start asking, how are people doing? Do they go, I'm doing fantastic. I've never felt better in my life. Most of the time they're not. You get what?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Which means they're not doing good.
I'm
It just
tired.
means they're not doing terrible.
Didn't sleep well last night.
Yeah.
Like people are moodier than ever. They're not satisfied in their relationships. There's a lot of different things that are really struggling. And people really are looking for something to feel better, a community to be a part of, something that can really uplift them. And so you never know what will or won't be for you, but I encourage you to test it out. You have anything else to add?
No, I would just say the best thing to do is attempt to change yourself. And with the targeted needs, I wish somebody would have had instructions for me a long
Yeah, we
time
didn't
ago.
have instructions.
And so it's
What was
easy.
our approach? We spent $2,300.
We
got
bought
everything.
everything, and then we were like, I wonder what works. And so no, get with the person that invited you to watch this. Reach out, look for the resources and all that, but go for those very specific needs. If you don't think you have any needs, believe me, you're gonna be like me. You're probably gonna find out 3 months later. You're like, oh man, you don't realize how good you can feel until you know how crappy you were. And if you don't think it works, get off of it for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're gonna feel like you can't put your socks on in the morning. And age catches up with everybody. And unfortunately, what's happening in today's world is that age has actually pushed way up. So yeah, people are living longer, and that's the stat we always hear. But what you don't hear is that people are living longer, but they're living less fulfilled lives.
Less
And
quality.
so basically what you're doing is, you're basically prolonging the pain.
Extending the agony.
Right.
Sounds great.
Right. Like I said, I want to live to a certain age, but I just want to be like one day, be like, I'm good.
Done.
Yeah.
Well, and you wanted to start with the sports line because you were just this big.
Yeah,
tough dude.
I like to compete with other guys. We had a little basketball league at that time, so I was like, you know what? Anything that's going to give me a little bit of an edge on anybody, I'll do it. Oh, and it worked.
And what
It
happened?
totally worked. Then eventually you start.
But what did somebody say to you?
Well, they basically said, hey, the athletic gains are great, the jumping higher is great, the running faster is great, the endurance is great. But what happens if you don't actually take care of the internal system? So yeah, you can keep trying to build, and basically it's
So what good is that going to do if you get cold and cancer?
right. So the
James?
analogy is, okay, I have a bunch of crap And whether it's trash or stuff I don't use anymore, here's the way we do it in the Western Hemisphere is, well, let's just build bigger. Let's build bigger. Let's build bigger. Okay, you never actually address the real issue. The real issue is all the crap you don't need anymore that you keep hanging on to. And whether that's emotional baggage, spiritual baggage, physical baggage, and literally trash. Like, I'm talking trash. We gotta quit going for the, oh, we'll just build it bigger, because you're just gonna fill that new big space with crap again. So you gotta start by cleansing the system, balancing it, and then you can build. So yeah, it's cool to build, and it's fun to build, and it's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch you build.
Someone build.
I like to view.
But eventually you have to clean everything up, and that's the part that's not sexy to people, is the cleaning part.
So we just really wanted to make sure that you got a chance to look at this, see this, because this is exactly what I've been doing as I've been meeting people out on the road, and people are excited. They're waking up, seeing what's for them. Their kids are finally sleeping. I'm getting texts that they're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually pooping. Oh my goodness, I didn't know how bad I felt until I knew how good I could feel. The Go-Ian is absolutely amazing. And this one, by the way, you can take way more of. We've had women that were really struggling in their cycles. And we are talking from 12-year-olds all the way up to 60-year-olds. If there is something that is hormonal that is a mess, increase this. We had a gal that said, you know what? Taryn said 2 to 4 ounces was good, so I took 12 ounces every single day. I did that for 6 months, and she got her cycle regulated every 28 days and is feeling amazing. And so don't be afraid of this, because it's just food. It is just plants, and it's basically as close to what God gave us as possible. And so we hope you learned something. We hope you had a little bit of fun. If you ever have any questions for either one of us, let us know. If there's things that you'd like us to address, we would be more than happy to. But thank you so much for taking your time tonight, James. And we will talk to you guys later.
Sounds good. Have a good one, everyone.